Who would Trump choose as vice president? Here's a list of potential candidates. Though the Republican presidential primaries and caucuses haven't started yet, former President Donald Trump's commanding lead in the polls has already spurred debate over potential running mates. Some names being floated are lawmakers who've said in interviews they would be interested in the job. Other names are generated when Trump meets with a high-profile supporter, which happened this week when he was spotted at Mar-a-Lago with Rep. Elise Stefanik, RNY, according to aides. Trump himself said in an interview with NBC in September that he hasn't thought too much about the role but added he likes the concept of a woman as vice president. We're going to choose the best person, he said. Either way, numerous political experts said loyalty would be a prime consideration for Trump as he chooses his running mate. And some of his supporters being floated as a running mate could very well end up on Trump's ticket. Here's a look at some potential contenders, but his aides add that stories about an array of possible appointments minus from running mate to White House chief of staff minus are premature at best. Second-term policy priorities and staffing decisions will not, in no uncertain terms, be led by anonymous or thinly sourced speculation in mainstream media news stories, the Trump campaign said in a statement. President Trump is solely focused on winning the Republican nomination for president. Trump was asked on Fox News, Sunday Morning Futures, whether he would choose Scott as a running mate in July, and said he thinks Scott is a very good guy and talented. We did opportunity zones together. It's never been talked about. It's one of the most successful economic development things ever done in this country. And Tim is very good, Trump said. I mean, I could see Tim doing something with the administration. Though Scott said he wouldn't endorse anyone for the primary, he did defend Trump's economic record and acknowledged his poll numbers in an interview with CNBC earlier this month. Tim Scott, South Carolina Sen. Tim Scott, who dropped out of the presidential race last month, was floated as a potential running mate early on in the primary race. Unlike some of his rivals, the lawmaker did not criticize Trump directly when he was on the campaign trail. Scott worked on Opportunity Zones minus a bipartisan initiative minus in Trump's 2017 tax cut legislation. He is also 58 and black, which would be key for Trump as he seeks to expand his coalition of supporters. Nikki Haley, Rep. Kevin McCarthy, R-Caliph, has argued that former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley would be a good pick for Trump's vice president as she would pull independent voters to his circle of supporters. Haley, 51, worked in the Trump administration as an ambassador to the United Nations from 2017 to 2018, where she supported U.S. relations with Israel and led the initiative to pull the U.S. out of the Paris Agreement on climate change. As a woman of color, she would diversify Trump's ticket. A large gender gap exists in his current polling, and attempting to reach out to more moderate suburban female voters in swing states will be crucially important in the general election, said Aaron Call, an elections expert at the University of Michigan. Given the advanced ages of Trump and Biden, selecting a younger candidate could help alleviate any concerns over health. Having Haley on Trump's ticket might also increase his chances of beating Biden. Numerous polls have found that Haley has a higher chance of winning against Biden in a hypothetical matchup than other Republican candidates. Kristi Noem, 52, has also made clear she is interested in the position, saying in an interview with Newmax in September she would consider the role in a heartbeat. She's criticized Trump's criminal indictments and the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling to disqualify Trump from the state's presidential primary ballot this week. She's also passed anti-abortion and pro-Second Amendment policies. Before she was governor, Noem served in Congress where she helped pass the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 - key legislation under the Trump administration. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, one of Trump's fiercest allies, is also being floated after she endorsed the former president at an event in September. Trump said in an interview with NBC that same month he has his eye on Noem as a potential running mate. I think she's fantastic. She's been a great governor. She gave me a very full-throated endorsement, a beautiful endorsement actually, Trump said. And, you know, it's been a very good state for me and certainly she'd be one of the people I'd consider. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Arkansas Governor. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, 41, is another lawmaker Trump could potentially choose. Sanders endorsed Trump at a rally in Miami, Florida, last month, calling him my former boss, my friend, and everybody's favorite president. Sanders served as the White House press secretary in the Trump administration from 2017 to 2019, advising him on personnel, policy and communications strategy, according to her website. When Sanders stepped down from her position, Trump acknowledged in a news conference that the pair have been through a lot together and that she did an incredible job. She's tough and she's good, Trump said. If 2024 does end up being a match between President Joe Biden and Trump, Sanders would serve as a key player for Trump. She delivered a combative response against Biden when he delivered his State of the Union address in February, saying Biden's weakness puts the nation and world at risk. However, allegations that her office illegally altered public records could make a comeback if she ends up on the ticket. Ben Carson, who served as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in the Trump administration, said he would be willing to serve as Trump's running mate when the former president ran in 2016. Ultimately, Trump chose former Vice President Mike Pence for the spot. But Carson's name is now being floated again after the retired neurosurgeon endorsed him for the 2024 race. If Carson were chosen, however, it is unclear whether he would take the spot. When Carson announced he would leave after Trump's first term, he was pressed in a 2019 Newsmax interview on whether he would be interested in serving in a second Trump administration. Carson said, "I would be interested in returning to the private sector, because I think you have just as much influence, maybe more, there.